Yes, there is still some circulation. Is it well defined and really tight to the point of where we'd say, oh, man, that's a problem? No, it's not there, but I'm going to be in my safe place if I live in this area, and I want you to be in your safe place if you live in that area. Nothing confirmed, nothing coming out of the sky that we can see other than some of this larger hail from Florissant, Ferguson, which is really moving off towards the east over here as you work your way towards 367 and getting towards the Chain of Rocks Bridge. I think this will probably move east-northeast right through Chambers and right up towards the Chain of Rocks Bridge. All right, so this is pushing off towards the east. The tornado warning does continue for St. Louis City and parts of St. Louis County. So Gary, I want to pull this back just a little bit more. The area is not impacted by this. Really, as you go, let's just freeze it right there. The area is not impacted in the metro. If you are south of Highway 40 right now in Metro St. Louis, stop moving it, Gary. If you're south of Highway 40, you are fine in St. Louis County. Okay, you're fine. There's no big problems there. This is all to the north. It's that one storm there. There's a break now into St. Charles County and then going back as you get into eastern portions of Washington County. Now we find our next storm. Notice there's a little bit of a hook there. Okay, this is the next storm that we're tracking that has a severe thunderstorm warning. Again, Gasconade County into Franklin into Warren County. It's going to take a very similar track to the storm we just had, but it looks like it may go just a hair south of that. Again, there's some rotation in there. These are supercell thunderstorms. Supercell thunderstorms all rotate in general, okay? It just depends on whether that rotation can tighten up and then drop out of the sky and cause problems with a tornado. Those are things that are very hard to detect well ahead of time, but we can certainly tell that it is a supercell. It's rotating. The hail is to the north of where, you know, if there were to be a tornado, that would be. But you need to be, once again, paying attention out here into Gasconade County, along the Missouri River, into Warren County and Franklin County. Same sort of path that we just dealt with. This is the area that's coming in and sliding our way. So this could produce additional severe weather for much of the metro area. This is going to track very close to, if not just south of the area where we just had the severe thunderstorms roll through that produced a 72-mile-per-hour wind gust in Washington, Missouri, caused some downed trees and power lines, or at least some large branches, and we know there are power outages there. And then we've had the strong circulation going through St. Louis and that potential for a tornado there. Now, we have extended the severe thunderstorm warning into Madison County.
I was going to say, it's finally starting to show where it looks like it's a little bit, you can finally start to see it on radar a little bit more, right? Where the area that we're focusing on in St. Louis County.
Yeah, you're starting to see a little more of a well-defined hook there. But, you know, even so, it doesn't look like, you know, what I'm seeing, it doesn't look like it's all that tight of a circulation. It's there, but it doesn't look like it's all that tight at this point. And the fact that the National Weather Service, you broaden this out, we go into Madison County here on the Illinois side. This storm now pushing off to the east, so we have Madison County under that severe thunderstorm warning, and it's not a tornado warning. So that gives us a good indication. Is it possible that we could see something spin up at some point? Sure. Where would the most likely area be for that? Probably in this area around Granite City over towards Pontoon Beach. Kind of the same, you know, this is like our tornado track alley area here where we get the largest number of them, it seems like, when they come out of St. Charles County through St. Louis County and then they work off to the east. So the storm now, you know, Pontoon Beach, Glen Carbon, you would be the areas where we would be more concerned about rotation with this storm. And then really along the northern side of that, it's going to be where the larger hail will be with that storm. You could have winds anywhere in there, but from a tornado standpoint, the circulation's probably going to be very close to that Amazon warehouse over there in Edwardsville that we saw in 2010 was hit. There's no tornado on the ground right now that we can tell, and we usually can tell if they're on the ground. We're not getting any reports of that. But again, that larger hail sliding off towards the east there, and that's going to be right along 270, and then going through the Chain of Rocks Bridge and then over towards 255. So, it's going to be an active evening for sure. The tornado warning, I think, for St. Louis County, I think we can say St. Louis County, for the most part here, once you get west of 170, your severe weather threat has diminished here, west of 170. Okay, that threat has shifted out of this storm. And there's more storms we got to get through, but out of this storm. So now we're kind of focused on this area that's North St. Louis County, far North St. Louis City, as it slides off towards the east and then runs across the Chain of Rocks Bridge and then goes over into Madison County. You're looking at the storm tracker right now. Our Weather First storm tracker showing you the ominous clouds that are filling in behind this system. Tracy Henson's been in the storm tracker as we've been tracking these storms. Gary is labeling it now. You go along 270 here, up towards that Home Depot, up towards the post office there. Once you get up around Halls Ferry, I think it is, you get into the spots where you're potentially going to see hail up to the size of maybe some golf balls. And that's not to say there won't be additional hail this evening that's even larger than that. So right now, we've had no confirmed damage from any tornado. The earlier storm, this storm earlier, when it went across Washington, Missouri, it strengthened and produced a 72-mile-per-hour wind gust at the Washington, Missouri airport, which is just across the river from Washington. And so that, actually that would have been in southern Warren County where the 72-mile-per-hour wind gust was recorded. So now we're just kind of tracking that storm back into the metro area, and it's lost a lot of its spunk here in terms of finding a tight circulation. There's still some rotation with it, still an ominous looking storm for sure. You're getting torrential rain, you're getting some hail out of this, and it continues to press along 270. So, right now you're going to have travel problems along 270 simply because it's pouring rain, there's some hail mixed in, and then folks tend to stop. And Tracy was slowed down in the storm tracker. You have people stopping, especially when they stop underneath the bridge, the overpass, because they want to protect their car from getting hailed on, and then that backs up everybody else back to the west, which is a big pain in the rear. Now, if you're looking out in the Chesterfield Valley, a lot different now than what it looked like a few minutes ago. That's our weather camera out in the valley right now. Things have settled down. So West St. Louis County, we've settled. Most of St. Charles County, we've settled. This is our next problem. This is the cell that's back here coming into Gasconade County. If there's rotation that could create a tornado, it's going to be in this area where you see that little bit of a hook. Hail's on the northern side. I will say, looking at this, it doesn't look overly intense right now. In other words, you can look at this with me. We're not seeing a bunch of fuchsia colors in here. And that fuchsia is usually the indicator that, yeah, boy, you've really got the hail going on in there. And, that's an indication of how strong the storm is. And then you've got some sort of circulation down here. So we have a severe thunderstorm warning for this. It still may be producing strong winds. It still may be producing hail that's causing some damage. And it may yet eventually produce a tornado. We don't know. That's what it looks like on MoDOT's camera from 70 and air flight right now as the traffic continues to roll along there. And again, we're kind of looking at all of these different things and absorbing the information that we have across the region. And I think most of us are going to get a little bit of a break around the immediate St. Louis area. We did get some reports of some trees and wires down.
Yeah, we haven't seen a ton of reports with, especially with that storm. Like you mentioned, there's still the hail core in the purple. That's still probably the thing that's going to know. They're probably going to let this warning go till it hits 7:15. So.
As long as there's some semblance of circulation in there, they're going to keep it up. But the fact that it was not extended east into Madison County kind of tells you, where the thinking is. Yes, severe weather, severe thunderstorm, sure. Tornado, Well, maybe, but it doesn't look like it's immediately imminent at this point, right? So you still have a bit of a circulation there. It's just not tight enough to actually spin up and drop a tornado, which I'm not complaining about that. I'm sure you aren't either. But again, if you're in this area here going over into Madison County, do be alert, especially north of Granite City, towards Pontoon Beach, towards Glen Carbon, eventually towards Edwardsville. You know, that's where, if there is going to be something that spins out of this storm, that would probably be where it would occur. Otherwise, you know, you've got the 50 to 60 mile per hour winds, maybe locally higher, and you also have the potential for some large hail. And of course, we've had problems with hail in the last month around St. Louis. Back in the middle of March with all of that baseball-size hail, we haven't had reports of anything that large tonight, but it seems like golf ball-size hail has been pretty reasonable guesstimate on this. So we're just Gary's kind of looking here for the circulation to see what we see out there and see if it correlates with, you know, where we would expect it to be, because you do have to have the circulation lining up with, you know, the radar echoes and everything else kind of coming together. It looks like there's something a little nebulous there as it approaches DePaul. I should say, actually, Christian Hospital Northeast there. It's already gone through DePaul. But Christian Hospital Northeast off 367. So, yeah, there's some broad circulation there, but nothing that's overly, overly going to grab a lot of attention. It's a broad area of circulation that's in there. It's not as tight, but that's not to say you need to be, you know, we don't need you to do our St. Louis tradition of, oh, I need to go outside and look and see what's going on. No, really you don't. If you're in this area around Chambers Road and then going over towards Riverview, especially the area approaching Bellefontaine Neighbors to Glasgow Village, you know, right here, far north St. Louis City, going up towards 270, you need to be inside, away from windows and doors at this point, because with this type of scenario that we have across the region, you know, you just don't know when one of these storms might grab hold of some extra instability or a little boost comes along aloft with a bit of wind that helps to lift it up and spin it up a little bit better. Back to our western storm, looks like there's a little more of a hook there showing up, an indication that there's rotation with the storm. And again, when you have a storm that's out here by itself like this, it's not competing with a bunch of other storms. So they tend to maintain some of their intensity, and you can clearly see there's a bit of a hook here, which tells us, hey, we need to be concerned about that. But then I look at the radar, and I look at the wind fields on that, and it doesn't stand out as being an overly tight circulation there. And again, just you remember in physics class, or in science class maybe, when you were on the stool and you would put your hands out and they'd spin you and then you'd pull your hands in and you'd spin faster. That's what we're looking at here. You have broad circulations in a lot of these storms, and it doesn't make that much of a big deal for us on the ground. But you pull that circulation in, tighten it up, and make it spin faster, and then we have a problem, especially if you're taking it and taking that air and moving it up as that spinning gets tighter like that. That's when it becomes more of a problem. So again, severe thunderstorm warning. We'd say tornado possible with this. You're seeing that hail start to pick up along Highway 19. Highway 100, Highway 94, same areas that we saw the last storm roll over, still looking to potentially get in on some of the activity with this, as well as this storm moves on towards the east. Once this tornado warning expires here.
Yeah, and it's almost completely out of the polygon in those areas anyway.
So they're still monitoring it. We know the gang out there at the National Weather Service is still monitoring it. They did have a rotation of a wall cloud east of 170 and south of 270. So that's kind of the area we're still monitoring up there. And that's going to slide across the river, but it still doesn't look like that circulation is tight enough to produce a tornado. Now, we have the weather tracker out there, our Weather First storm tracker on the road there, and then you see up in the other part of your screen a MoDOT camera as some of the folks are traveling there. It looks like there's some slow going in that area. I'm not sure what camera that is, but it looks like, you know, people are slowing down as they encounter the heavy rain and some hail. Right now, Looks like with this system that's in St. Louis County, the larger hail would be up here north of 270 over parts of Spanish Lake and pushing towards the Mississippi River. So it won't be much longer before that's across the river into Madison County. And again, in Madison County, it's a severe thunderstorm warning, not a tornado warning that's in effect. So severe thunderstorm warning for Madison County in Missouri, or rather in Illinois, to deal with this storm that's coming out of St. Louis County. And as it pushes over towards Glen Carbon and Granite City and Pontoon Beach, over towards 255, potentially there's some rotation in there that we'll need to be concerned about. But at the moment, it's just a severe thunderstorm warning, but you should still treat it. Yeah, you've got Riverview, that's 270 in Riverview up there on the camera that you're seeing on the screen. So when you look at this, again, broader circulation in there, it's showing up, but it's not all that tight. So in North St. Louis County right now, there's nothing imminent, but the radar is still indicating some rotation in there as well as this storm moves on to the east. Otherwise, you're really starting to get to the point where if you're west of 367, I think we're about, that threat has shifted just east of 367. Of course, that area also along 270 is under construction right now, and it just poured. And you know how it is when we have the road construction from MoDOT and IDOT in the construction zones, and you have heavy rain. Sometimes those roads are slow to drain to begin with, and then you put in a construction zone and kind of tinker with the drainage systems, and you get some problems there. So I think west now of 367, things are improving. Certainly, West St. Louis County, St. Charles County, the majority of St. Charles County, save West Alton. And then out here in the eastern portions of Warren County, you're getting a little bit of a break. Our next storm that we're tracking is the one that it's still holding together. Still, you can see it's got that bit of a gnarly little hook on it. So we know there's some rotation in there, broad rotation, not enough to cause a tornado warning, but also not enough where we're going to say, yeah, don't worry about this storm. You still need to be prepared to get into your safe place here. If you're out in Gasconade County or in, central and northern portions of Franklin County here, the same areas are going to get into this. Berger, New Haven, we're going to, take it down Highway 19 into Gasconade County, and that circulation is going to be pushing off towards the east, maybe slightly north of east, which it takes it towards Pinckney, towards Treelore. Those are the areas where you need to be prepared to take shelter, but you also in this area just should be planning on staying inside, away from windows and doors, as those are the areas where, additionally you have hail and potentially some gusty winds. And so that in and of itself can cause some problems.
Yeah. I would say, Scott, now completely, this storm's almost completely out of the actual tornado warning.
Yeah.
Now completely. So.
Yeah, the circulations here is up to the north.
Yeah.
And, the only part of it that it might actually hit would be this small little sliver. Yeah. So, you're getting some hail here as you go up Riverview. Once you get out of the city, go north of 70 on Riverview. But you're also getting into more of a rural area up here where, you've got your farming community and your quarries as well up closer to the river. It's a less populated area up here in general. And so we're going to see this cross over the area of the confluence of the Mississippi and Missouri rivers as well. So I think this tornado warning is going to be expired here, and we'll be left with a severe thunderstorm warning off to the east, and then watching this storm here back to the west. Highway H, you're about ready to get in on some of that larger hail, especially as you go north between Highway Z and up towards the Missouri River. You're going to get into some hail here, maybe up to the size of golf balls. And again, with this system here spinning like that, kind of circulation, you're seeing some kind of rotation in the system. Yeah. So there's the potential that it's going to be able to create a tornado. Will it? We don't know. But the potential is certainly there. Around the metro area, roads are wet right now, especially still drenching rain. Tornado warning is about to expire. I think our tornado threat has come to an end. And at least with that particular cell, yeah. we want to make sure, though, the one thing that we want to emphasize is this is kind of just the appetizer for tonight's weather.
Yeah, here's the rest of it.
Yeah, this is what's really going on out to our west, looking at the Springfield radar. And I think we're going to get into this, and it's probably going to roll in here along about 9, 10 o'clock tonight. Anything we see before that's kind of these individual storms, they may spin up a tornado, they may produce hail and gusty winds, and then we're going to end up with an amalgamation of storms because the air south of St. Louis over southern portions of Missouri, southern portions of Illinois is still very warm, it's still very humid, and that front is still to our north and west. So that will leave us with additional problems and potential for later this evening as the severe weather will become more likely. For now, we're going to go ahead and zip you back to NBC, and we will stay with you on 5 Plus as well as KSDK.com as we track this system that's now the storm that's south of Herman as it comes into the area. But for the immediate St. Louis area, it looks like our tornado threat has diminished, at least enough for us to scoot away for the time being. But remain alert this evening. Again, we're on 5 Plus, KSDK.com. You're watching Storm Alert coverage from 5 on your side.